Hey guys, so today we've got this Yard Machines by MTD, powered by a Briggs & Stratton 3.5 horsepower flathead engine. I found this mower, it was thrown out in the trash, no wheels on it, but the deck seems to be in pretty darn good condition. Not sure how I feel about that plug, seeing as it's a torch. And looking at the position of this air filter, I'd say someone was here before trying to get this working. Fuel, I'm not sure what we've got for fuel. I guess we should check. Yeah, it looks like there's fuel in there. The fuel looks kind of dark in there, but it could be stabilized. It does smell like regular fuel, so chances are that's just stabilizer. So what I'm gonna do right now, maybe it seems kind of sketchy, maybe it doesn't. I'm gonna throw a couple blocks of wood under it, give it a prime, and see if it'll fire over. But instead of doing something sketchy, I decided to put 4 wheels on it that I already had from another MTD mower that I pulled apart. If you remember from this short here. So let me give it a prime and pull it over and see if it runs. Oh, let's at least first connect the spark plug. All right, so before we start it, we should check the oil. Really? Oh man. Oh, of course I drop it. All right, let's try that again. Well, I've got oil on the dipstick. Honestly, that should be enough to test it, so why not? All right, let's give it a try. I don't hear any fuel going in. All right, let me get the carb spray. Definitely no fuel going in, but I also see a tiny problem here. That's on the wrong side. So let's quickly fix that. There we go. That's better. Now I'll give it a shot of helper sauce. And let's see how she runs. Spitting out oil. Try a bit more spray. Not looking good. Almost like it's ready to fire. I'm going to try a little bit more spray, and then we may have to check for spark and compression. One more time. It's almost like it wants to fire. I think timing might be off. All right. Guess we're going to have to check for spark and compression. Take a look at this. Look at the amount of oil that's spewing out. Mind you, to be fair, this was on its side and it was upside down and everything. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it's spitting oil everywhere. I wonder if there's too much oil in the cylinder and that's why she won't start. Or it's just not getting spark. All right, I guess we should check for spark. Let's get our spark tester on there. Now I want you guys to keep an eye on that. Tell me if it glows orange. So it looks like we've got spark. I wonder why we're not getting fire. All right, let's try getting rid of this fast fire spark plug. 13/16. Ooh, yeah. Look at this. It's just drenched in oil. Yeah, that might cause it to not fire. That's not good. Plus, every time I'm pulling it over, still getting oil dripping out of the exhaust. Like, look at it. This is terrible. What did I bite off when I picked up this from the trash? I think I picked up someone else's headache. Oh well, it's going to be fun to get into and see if we can get this thing going. That would be a feat. All right then. Try cleaning this off, I guess. Use some fire. See if we can get it nice and hot and burn off all that carbon. Maybe it'll actually fire if I put it back in. But I'm thinking not with the amount of oil that's likely in there. Thinking of getting my borescope, having a peek. Maybe we'll see if there's some damage in there or the rings are stuck and oil's just pouring in. Who knows? Who knows what it looks like in there? Well, let me grab the borescope and we'll have a peek. I guess first thing though, we can do a compression test. Let's see. This one fit? Of course it fits. It's the same one that always fits. Pressure testing hose. Get the pressure gauge on. No, we're not. It doesn't want to go on. Come on now. There. I'll leave it here. You guys can tell me what it gets up to. Hopefully at least 50. Oh, what do we got? Oh, it fell over. Holy cow. Looks like we got about 115 pounds. This is a really good engine. It's got lots of compression, but at the same time, I wonder if that's because of the oil in the cylinder giving it all that compression. How are we going to fix this or find out what's going on? Is timing off? Is it just the spark plug so cooked in oil that it just won't fire? I wonder. I don't know why I took it out. Let's give it one more try. See if it matches the 115 pounds it was last time. Okay. All right, so hopefully this stays within your view. I'm going to turn on the light. See if it makes any hint of difference. I'll move you a little bit closer. And there, let's see if that helps. Yeah, 115 pounds. That's pretty good. No reason why this thing shouldn't be firing though. It really should be at that. So it's got to be a problem with the spark plug not firing because it's coated in oil, or timing's off. It's the only thing I can think of why it wouldn't fire over. Well, let me try a different spark plug from another Briggs engine and see if it works. Give me a sec. Yuck. So much oil coming out of there. I should have put my compression tester a little further away because it's just sprayed oil all in here. Oh boy. How lovely. Thanks, Briggs. I can't blame the Briggs & Stratton for this. The only person I can blame is whoever had this before. They've made such a miserable mess of this thing. I'm beginning to think that maybe I should have left this one in the trash. All right, let's change the plug. Okay, so I've got a Champion RJ19 LM. So let's see how this one does. Let's try it. All right, let's give it some carb spray. Hopefully this time it'll actually fire. Let's see. Oh, hell yeah. That's a great sign. It was a spark plug. How about that? It's never the spark plug. Yet this time it is. Let's do that again. Oh, that's a good sign. Next question. Will it run on its own fuel? Let's try that. I'll just add a little bit of gas to this and see if she'll run. I mean, what the heck? Why not? There's not enough gasoline in there right now. And it doesn't smell terrible. It doesn't smell like paint thinner. So quite likely it's actually okay. Let's try a little. All right. Let's see. Let's see if it primes. Not a good sign. Not priming. Not priming. That's not good. Well, I'll give it a shot of some spray. And since there's some fresh fuel in there, hopefully it'll continue running. And if not, well, you know what we got to do. We got to get this carb apart and get it cleaned, because I don't see why this mower won't continue to run after we get this all cleaned up. We got this cap on. We've got some spray in there. Place your bets. Will it keep running? My bet is on no, but we'll see. All right. Here goes. Try that again. running, look at that! Interesting. Very interesting. Hey, look at that, guys. Look what I found. A red subscribe button. If you made it this far into the video, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Comment below. I love to read your comments, and I try to reply to as many of them as I can, especially the early ones. All right, guys, back to the video. Very interesting indeed. Engine sounds good. And it runs. Oh, that's neat. I can hear it now. Did you see that? Squirt, squirt, squirt. She's priming. Will it run? Let's see. Of course it will. But will it die? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah, baby. Look at that. Oh, that's not a good sign. Oh, that's not a good sign. She's puffing and blowing out smoke. I'm gonna give it a second. All right, I'm shutting it down. Oh boy. This is gonna be an interesting one, guys. All right, let's, I guess let's get this thing serviced, because, oh boy. But I want to see if it'll fire up again. I'm not going to prime it. I'm going to see if it'll fire. Let's just see. Let's just see. Right away. Right away. No problem. Interesting. But it's definitely struggling after it runs for a few, maybe a 3-4 seconds, seems to start to struggle. So yeah, let's get this thing serviced before I do any kind of real damage to it. But not bad. Not bad at all. All right, I've got it inside. I've got it up on our bench. Let's get that spark plug off now. 13/16. We'll get the silly fast fire out. I put the fast fire back in. I've got a brand new spark plug for this, but I want to make sure it's going to run first before I go and invest putting a brand new spark plug in it. That has a bit of oil on it. Not surprising considering the amount of oil that came out of that exhaust. Which reminds me, I want to take off that exhaust. There we go. Pretty black and sooty. Considering the oil came out, the amount of oil that came out of it, not surprising. Put this off to the side. I think I might run this through the ultrasonic, but put this off to the side for now. It's like there's a lot of oil caked up on here too. Look at that. I have to give this a pressure washing after when I put it back together. That's terrible. Anyway, makes me wonder why so much oil started to come out when it got up to speed. I wonder if the head gasket's blown. I guess the only way to really know if the head gasket's blown is if we put a borescope in and have an inspection, or, and this is because this is one of those flat heads, so it's on an angle, or we just dive right in, take the head off. Well, I do have head gaskets, and I guess why not? Then we can inspect the shape of this engine too, see how good condition it's in. Why not? Let's just crack into it. We'll get the shroud off, get the gas tank and carburetor off, and then we'll start cracking into the head and really inspect it, see if it's really going to be worth going any further. All right, let's start. So 3/8 on the engine cover. Then should be another 2 at the back. One over here, and then one over here. And then it should be a 5/16 right here on the oil dipstick tube. So let's get those 3/8 off. One. Nice, fell on the floor. I'll grab it. I saw where it went. Got it. Now this last one. Now we can pull this whole thing away and it'll pull the dipstick tube out. So I might as well just do that. It's not like there's a lot of oil in there anyway. It's not going to fall out. There we go. So as I said about the amount of oil, yeah, there's pretty much none in there. This rope's also going to get a change, so we'll be changing that too. This coil seems like it's really close to that flywheel. So we're going to move that back as well. I wonder if that's what's causing the engine to run really poorly. So before we crack into the head, let's do the carburetor, adjust the coil, and then if it still runs really terribly, then we'll crack into the head. Might as well not make a mountain out of a molehill. Let's keep it really simple for now, and we'll go from there. So let's adjust this. Let's move it back 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to pull it all the way back and tighten it down. There. Well, after we do the rope, before we put the housing on, we'll readjust this. But for now, let's concentrate on the carburetor and go from there. Because if we don't have to put a head gasket on, all the better. The less work we have to do, the more profit that this mower now becomes. Let's get the air filter off. The original filter, oof. Yeah, we were expecting that. This thing is completely drenched in oil. But the foam is still good. So I'm just going to give this a cleaning and it should be fine. And it's the original filter. Wrap that up in some shop towels and give it a squeeze out. There we go. Some of that oil out. See, look at what a difference that made, just squeezing all that excess oil out. It already made a huge difference. So cleaning this with some soap and water, letting it dry, and then re-oiling it before reinstalling it should be good. So move this out of the way, move the housing out. It's completely coated in oil. It's terrible. I wonder if that's when this thing was upside down. I mean, when I picked this up, it was basically standing on end. So it's not terrible. It's not terrible, but the engine does look like it's in some pretty rough shape. I mean, the carburetor throttle flap was on the wrong side and everything, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, we learned somehow. But let's get this off. So this is 3/8, and I believe this should be 1/2 inch. So let's get this off, 3/8. Okay, now 1/2 inch. Now just watch out for the spacer. Take off this breather tube. Air filter housing gasket. Unclip this governor spring. Now, oops. We'll take off Z-bend. Come on, Z-bend. There we go. Now this 1/2 inch bolt. We'll put you around the back. Stay, Mr. Gas Tank. So we don't lose anything. I'm going to thread these bolts back in. Move these off. So I just put the stuff in the top of the air filter housing. All right, so now let's pull apart this carburetor I know it's full of gasoline, that's fine. We can deal with the carburetor first. So to take one of these carburetors off, there's 5 screws. They're Phillips head. 2 on the right, 3 on the left. Sometimes there's only 4, but it's not that common. 5 is the most common, especially for this style. I'm just going to crack them off and then zip them out with the gun. Just watch out for that pickup tube. Okay, so interesting. I want to drop those. See, can we count them? How many are there? 1, 2, okay, there's 5 of them. Good. Stay. So I think I may have figured out some of the problems with this lawnmower. Whoever put this back together, they put this back together backward. The gasket is supposed to be on this side with the pumping diaphragm down there on the carburetor bowl. Or I guess that's the fuel tank. Yeah, the diaphragm doesn't come up here. Okay, so let's replace this. Then we'll take it outside and we'll try it out. I mean, why not? But first, we will get that rope replaced and we'll fix this coil. That may also help this run because maybe the coil's also causing some weak spark, and so it wasn't fully igniting the fuel, and that was what's causing the sputtering. And as far as the oil goes, we'll get to that hurdle because we'll figure out what's going on. But let's deal with this first. So this can go bye-bye. I'm not replacing and reusing that. I'm not just fixing it that way. We're going to completely replace this because this stuff looks old. Looks like there's a bit of varnish in the bottom and some jellies. I don't know if you can see that in there. Ooh, I don't want that going in there. Get out of there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the jellies in there, but there's some jellies in there, so I gotta clean all that out. I'm gonna spray it with some carb spray. As for the fuel, I'm just gonna siphon it out with a turkey baster and put it into another external tank. Let's take a look at it though. First things first, I'm just gonna quickly disassemble this. So I'll take the screen off. Come on, screen. Off we go. Where can I put it? I know where I can put it. Same place as everything else. In there. Next, pickup tube. There, pickup tube's out. Now the main jet. Nice little flat screwdriver. There we go. Come on. And down on the floor it goes. I better grab it. One set carburetor. You stay right there. There we go, the main jet and the emulsion tube now covered in crap. That's fine, it's getting a cleaning anyway. But because of the rubber O-ring, I don't want to spray any carb clean on it. I'll spray it off with some water to rinse it off. And then into the ultrasonic it'll go. Well, is this whole thing gonna go right in the ultrasonic. And this spring, off it comes because it's gonna go back on the engine. Come on, spring, get off. You've left me no choice. I now must employ the pliers. This is the throttle tab. When we get to that point, I'll explain it a little bit further once the engine's running on how you can increase and decrease the engine RPM. There's stuff in the intake. That's not good. Shouldn't be anything in the intake. All right. If you're hoping that I tear into this engine and we see what's inside, well, I'm hoping we don't. I really don't want to go that far into it, but if we do, we do. It is what it is. So next, let's take a look at this fuel. Oh, that's not good. Right away. Right away, that's not good. Definitely water in that. I'm sure you can see that water line. Look at that in there. Look at that water line. Oh boy. All right, let me dump the rest of the fuel in. Almost mesmerizing. Well, that's not going to be too bad. Fuel is pretty clear. Does smell like gasoline. It's just a little dark. So I can siphon off that water and just pour it back in. But let's clean that tank, clean that carburetor, and crack more into this little lawnmower. And of course, I'm going to add a little bit of oil into it as well, just so that we know that it's full of oil when we test it out. Let it run for a bit, then we'll give it an oil change. Let me do something with this fuel. A little bit of water managed to get into it, but the rest is into this non-government sanctioned fuel container. So we can reuse this. I'll just filter it out and try to get the rest of the water out. But this fuel in here is basically almost all water now. All right, so let me get this through the ultrasonic and then we'll pick it back up. All right, see you guys soon. All right, so the carburetor's out of the ultrasonic and I even put the exhaust through it just to try to clear out any debris that's inside. Still has a bit of water inside, but that's okay. The exhaust gases will push it out and the heat will dry it out pretty quick. But back to this, I have a little bit of a problem. When I was reviewing the footage, and if you notice the little, the note from Editor Mechanic, he was kind enough to leave it there, the spring's missing. I didn't actually notice until it was brought up to me while editing that the spring is missing. And as soon as I found out the spring is missing, I realized, great, this is going to be a little bit of an issue because you can't buy that separate. You have to buy a new carb. That's going to be a problem. I do have this, however. It's off a parts engine. This is just a cheap Chinese one. We had got it a while ago from my son's project, but unfortunately, part of the mower broke. Actually, one of the most important parts, the linkage to control the throttle. It's a small vane that is actually actuated by the speed of the mower. If the mower runs up too fast, through the speed of the wind that it generates, it blows on a vane, which helps close the throttle over. However, it kind of broke just from, I guess, age. And so we couldn't actually hook the throttle, or I should say we couldn't hook the governor linkage up to this to control it. So it would have just run completely full open throttle until the engine decided to kill itself. So it's become a parts engine. Anyway, regardless, I guess I can put this on and save this for another one, put that back on the parts engine. What can I do? I guess I'm gonna have to use this and order, I guess, a new carburetor for this one. That's what it is. I know this carburetor works because we tried it and it ran the engine up until the point that the governor vane broke, and then we realized, oh, why is it running out of control? And that's when we realized, oh, this is why it's running out of control. All right, so we'll put the boot on. Actually, we can't put the boot on. Got to put the governor in. Let's put the governor in first. Oh, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to drill that out a little bit. All right, give me a sec. Okay, that's all done. Oops, stuck that right to the magnet. Let's put the governor linkage on. Get it under. Nope. Come on. That goes over this. Boot on. Intake on. Let's get the spacer in. Come on, spacer, cooperate. Here, come see what I'm doing. There we go. Thank you, spacer. So put this on, 1/2 inch. Just gonna lightly seat it. I still have to put the one in on at the front. There we go. That'll just hold it up. So this bolt from the original engine that we took this off of, let me rephrase that. The engine that this went onto from the carburetor that we took it off of, because it was the old style and we upgraded it to this style, well, it used a 7/16. Well, this one used the 3/8. So we retapped it to 7/16. And on there was a 13 millimeter. That was nice. Try that again with a 7/16 instead of a 13 millimeter. That was awesome. There we go. I know you're wondering, what about this carburetor? Are we going to see you reassemble this carburetor? Yeah, I'll show that and I'll put it on the other engine, but it's not going to have the spring in it. I'm going to have to mark it no spring. They're kind of important. Original spring, I'll take that off. I mean, we're using something new. Might as well put on a new spring. So new spring. Then, if you look here, one sec, let me move you a bit closer. I hope this is close enough. But if you look here on the throttle linkage, you'll see this small hole. I know it looks huge in this image, but it's actually really small because there's a spring, this governor spring. There it is. Let me get my needle nose for this. Keep my fat fingers out of your way. There we go. See how small the hole really is when you consider the size of this spring. So that spring goes right in there, and that holds it in the open position. So as I was mentioning before about this throttle, let's get this back straight. So as I was mentioning before about this little plate here, so to increase the RPM, what we do is we'd bend this away from the governor. So we move it away from the carburetor. This increases the tension on the throttle plate, which forces the governor to stay open, and that will increase the running RPM. But if you go too high, such as above 3,600 RPM, you stand the chance of basically throwing a rod. So we're going to bend this back, and then we'll adjust this afterwards when the engine's running to get it at a proper RPM, which it's about 3,000 RPM, maybe about 3,100. It's usually a pretty good speed for these mowers. So if you were reassembling a carburetor, such as this one, onto a mower, well, you'd need your clean carburetor. You put your main jet in, and you line it up with the flat spot. If you look there, you'll see that little flat spot. You line it up with the same spot where you took it out. You press it, and you give it a really good push until you hear it click into place. And the pickup tube, that actually goes in this hole right here. And again, you press on it until you hear the click. And that's when it's in. Then you take your screen and you place it over your main jet. And that's it. It's now assembled. Of course, you would have a spring here, but unfortunately, this one is missing. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, but what about on the gas tank? How do we install it on the gas tank? Okay, and you want to know which way the diaphragm mortar goes in. That's not a problem. So to do that, I don't need my gloves on for this. We'll need this. And here's the part number. So what we do here is we lay the diaphragm down. Then we lay the gasket on top, and get you from a better angle. You take the carburetor, mindful of the pickup tube, and with the pump spring on, place the pickup tube into here. You place it down on top. Then we're going to put in all these screws. We're going to take our Phillips screwdriver, and we're going to do it in a star pattern, and I'm going to start it from here, but I'm just going to seat them. I'm not going to run them all the way down and actually torque them in. I just want to seat them first. Sorry, you can't really see that one. And we're going to go to this one. Sorry, I've got my arm in the way, but you'll see it afterwards. And this one here, and then across to this one. So how we're going to torque it down is we're going to start with this one here, and we're going to torque it down so it's snug. We need to go too tight. Then we're going to go to this screw here. So you can see we're going to this screw on this side. And we're going to torque that one down. Then we're going to cross over to this screw up here. Torque that one down. Then we jump back to this screw over here. We'll torque it down. And finally, we end with the one in the middle at the top. And we'll torque that down. And that's it. Then you would reassemble it onto the engine. But make sure that you have these. Sometimes they get stuck up on the intake and you don't have them in. So you would put it in with the O-ring first, then the retainer. And as always, make sure that your carburetor throttle flap is on this side of this tab. Otherwise, your throttle won't work. As you can see, it would be pinned wide open. So next, we're going to put the air filter gasket on. And because I have a brand new carburetor on there and a brand new gas tank, although you'd never realize that it actually is brand new, it's just been bumped a couple times, might as well put a brand new filter. And there's the part number. All right, so let's get some oil on it. And we just squeeze out the excess. Perfect. Put it in. And the air filter housing in proper orientation. It does not go in aerodynamic mode. We're not in a race. This is not going to get you mowing your grass any faster. All right, there we go. So the carburetor is mounted. Air filter's mounted. Gas tank's mounted. Spark plug's still MIA. There's a reason that spark plug's MIA. I'll be putting back in the fast fire, but I torched it off with some nice hot fire to get it, well, basically decarbonize it. So we'll see if it'll run this little mower. It should, and if it doesn't, then I've got another plug that we can pop in, and it'll definitely run because it already did. So now we need to get that rope changed. So let's get that done. Okay, so let's quickly change the rope, and to do that, we're just going to pull it all the way out. Now I'm just going to clamp it in place. This one actually has a little nub. So I'm going to pair of locking pliers on and just lock it in place. And it's just a little bit too far. There we go. Adjust this light. Just going to pull this back, and we're going to cut the end off. Then we're just going to burn these two tips together. And that's it. Those two are together. Then we simply pull it through. And now it's threaded. Okay, so next, we're just going to measure off. Oops, got a bit tangled there. To the correct amount, which is here. This I'll just quickly mark here with my lighter. I don't have my Sharpie on me, but it doesn't really matter. You just really need to mark it just so you know where you're going to be cutting it, because you're going to pull it back. There, you pull it back through to here, and this is the point where you're going to be cutting it. So if you want, you can even just heat it up to the point that you can break it. And that's it. That saves you from having to fix the ends, because now they're already pre-fixed. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick figure 8 knot. And that we can pull up into there. And then, just so I can release that, I'm going to tie a quick slip knot onto here. There. Now I can move that off to the side without worry of it snapping back. And we can move all the way to the handle. Now if you look down inside there, you'll see the rope. I'm just going to quickly pick that out. There we go. Now we can just pull the old rope all the way out. And that'll pull the new rope right in. We break it. And same deal. Figure 8 knot. And we pull it in. That's it. That's done. Now we'll take the housing, pull the slip knot out. Perfect. How's that for simple? No fuddling around trying to go and pick things through holes and everything. Just melt the rope together and use it like a fish. Just pull it right through. As you can see, makes life a lot easier. No muddling about. Right, now let's reset this and get the shroud on and get some engine oil in. All right, so business card in. 1/4 inch socket. Now we'll just rotate the flywheel around. There we go. Now it's set. Tighten this down. Okay, that's all done. Now I'm gonna rotate this out. Come on, business card. There we go. Oh no! You didn't sand it first. You didn't take it off and sand it. Oh boy. That's it. You're gonna ruin the spark. You're gonna ruin it. It's just not gonna work. No matter how hard you try, it's not gonna work. Yeah, that's not how magnetism works. Magnetism doesn't care about rust. Look up how a generator works. Same thing. It's cutting through the fields of flux. That's it. So if these are touching, all that's going to do is probably wear this. And this coil is probably the wrong coil for this unit. Right, so let's get the fast fire plug in. 13/16. Oh, let me take that back out, just so I can show you the plug after I cleaned it. There you go. There's the plug now that I've cleaned it. I used a torch and basically burned off all the carbon. So it looks pretty good. Nah. We'll leave that off. Just in case, considering it is really low on oil. I mean, it's not out of oil, it's just really low on oil. So we'll get that oil out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of oil in. Probably just to top it up. I've got some 0W20 for my car. I just want to get it warm so that we don't damage anything in here. So we'll get it warm. That way it's easier to drain it out. Then we'll do an oil change and we'll get this outside and see how it cuts the lawn. Hopefully it all works. If not, this video is getting pretty long. So if this doesn't work and we have to crack into this head, that's going to come in a part 2. Let's get that shroud on. So take this 3/8 bolt out. Take this 3/8 bolt out. And we'll take this 3/8 bolt out. Usually there's a tin that goes across here that covers this arm. If yours has that tin, it actually goes on the outside of this, and it will also attach down here to where that spacer is. This one seems to be missing it. Completely missed the oil dipstick tube. There we go, got it that time. Line up these bolts. First 3/8. Second 3/8. And third. I'll just give them a crank down. Right, that's all done. I guess next step, let's get this outside. We'll add the oil and we'll fire it up, see how it runs. All right, so got it outside, got the wheels on. They've also been lubricated. Let's get some fuel in. Add a little bit of oil. Okay, so we're full of oil now, which is good. I didn't feel like I got a whole heck of a lot here. There we go. I might as well pour what's left of there in. Not a lot. There we go. Tank is now topped up with gas. Spark plug wire goes on. Give it a few primes. I don't actually feel it priming any fuel. All right, let's give it a few pulls. Maybe it'll pull some fuel up. Now let's try to give it a couple primes. No, still nothing. All right, I'm gonna give it a spray of carb spray, see if I can get the pump going and get it drawing some fuel. Okay, got the helper sauce. Nothing, no pump action. Let's give it a couple sprays. Well, let's see what happens. Yeah, let's see if that was enough to start it. Nope. Nothing. Nothing. No action. No action at all. That would mean that this carburetor is no good. Nothing. Absolutely nothing happening. All right, let's try giving it another spray. See if that's enough to kick it over and get it to keep running. Not at all. Absolutely not. Nothing. Okay, guys. Well, it's looking like I'm going to have to order another carb. That's fantastic. Either that or I pull the spring out of there. But aside from that, this engine's sounding a little bit healthier. But let's see if I can be fast enough to keep it running at least a little bit off the brake cleaner. There we go. Now the pump's going. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Ooh, look at all that oil burning off.
How dare you?
Wow. And as you can hear, the engine is revving a little bit high. So I'm going to tilt that tab a bit back so that the governor can get a little bit more control of that engine. And, all right, so I'm going to put a pair of vice grips on this here. Let's give it a squirt, some spray. See if it'll continue to run now. Quit air gapping. This engine is not running well at all. I think we're going to have to crack that head and take a look at it because there is something going on with this engine. All right, guys. To be continued. To be continued. Yeah, I don't know, guys. This is a weird one. Racing out of control. I did see the governor moving. It was moving, even though the engine was racing. This did control the speed a bit, but this carburetor did not run this engine very well at all. And it's sputtering and coughing and just does not sound good in any way, shape, or form. So we're gonna have to inspect this head. I'm gonna get the borescope. We'll take a look inside and we'll see what's going on. But that'll have to wait for the next video. So I'll see you guys in part 2.